Okay, this video is what to do if your live well pump stops working. And I had a slight problem on the water, and it wasn't pumping, and I was getting a lot of air infiltration. And this is a Tsunami 800. It's a T800, which is and it has a washdown hose attachment, and it has the main hose that goes to the live well. And we're going to pull it apart. There was a lot of floating debris in the water, so hopefully it's just a matter of cleaning it out. Now the top of this, you spin it off the top to get the pump. Okay, now I have a problem with my attwood pump. It stopped pumping. It was pumping very little. Now you're supposed to be able to unscrew the top of this off and leave the housing in place, but this has been on here for 2 years and I could not get the top to unscrew. So I had to cut the wiring, I had to take the hoses off, and I'm going to take the whole pump out and see what's going on. There's your shut-off valve on the bottom. If you're doing this on the water, you want to make sure you have the valve closed so you don't take on any water. So this is the pump I have. Like I said, it's a T800 Tsunami attwood. It has 2 hoses, one for the live well, one for the washdown. And I was getting very little water and a lot of air infiltration on the washdown hose. And I'm taking the whole pump out. And there's the problem right there. If you can see all that debris in there. All that debris in there. It was a very dirty ocean. There was a lot of weed. I'm going to take this pump into the garage and we'll get the top off and we'll do an inspection. Okay, I got her in a vise. I don't have it clamped in the vise, I just have it sitting so the discharge fitting hits up against the jaw and I could turn the top without the whole thing. You don't want to clamp it because it's plastic and you might crack it. So you hear that click? That's what keeps it in place. I just couldn't get past that point down in the boat. So that comes off and it comes straight out, and as you can see in there, you might need some light. Some grease or silicone grease on this when I put it back together. So if it happens again, I'll be able to take it off very easily and clean it out. And the wires on this unit here, you can see the impeller's all plugged up. Sargassum grass got into the impeller. It's all plugged up. Look at that. I'm going to put a quick disconnect plug on here. I'm going to buy a spare. Okay, that's what was in the impeller. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting a quick disconnect on the wiring. I'm going to buy a spare pump. So if this happens again, within a matter of less than a minute, I could shut the valve off, go into the ocean, pull the pump out, disconnect it, get the new one, put it right in, and then off we're running again. 1, 2, 3. I got water flowing. Okay, I cleaned everything out. I cleaned the discharge pipes. There was debris in there. And this is what came out of there. A big chunk. And like I said, it could shut your day right down if it happens early in the morning. Your impeller. You place it back in the way it came out. You might want to mark it so you know it's in the right position. I know the wiring was facing opposite the connections, so that's the way it's going to end up. You put it down, then you give it a spin till it clicks in place, and that's as easy as it is. Like I said, this could be done at sea in a matter of a minute. Now, I took the housing out. Normally you don't take the housing, you just unscrew this piece, but it was tight because it was never taken apart again. Put some thread sealant on here, and then I'll put the housing back in place. Okay, well, you got the pump out. If you're on land, you want to check your valve. As you can see in there, there's a piece of weed inside the valve we're going to clean out. Okay, I scraped off the old silicone. Being that we're on land, I flushed out the port. There was some debris in there in the valve. That's your shut-off valve. I flushed that out. There's the gasket, the old gasketing. I scraped that off. And when I put it back, I'm going to use 5200. It's a below waterline sealant. Okay, I'm putting 5200 on the threads. Like I said, it's a below waterline sealant. This will keep it from picking up any air, and it'll keep water from coming into the bilge. You want to put a pretty good amount of this on there. Okay, I have the pump back in place where I want it. I'll let that sealant cure up for about a day or two. I don't need the boat until Monday, so I'll let it sit for 2 days. I'll put the hoses back on and we'll wire it back up. So now next time this happens, I get that debris in there again, I'll be able to pull it out at sea in about 1 minute and get it back and running again. Okay, what I also did was disconnected the washdown hose going into the pump, and here's the live well discharge into the well. I back flushed both of these lines out with the hose just in case anything got into the line. Now this live well has a recirculation pump on it, so it aerates and recirculates. So even though I lost my water coming from the sea on the fill, I was able to recirculate in the live well to keep the baits alive. So any of you guys planning on getting live wells, make sure you recirculate. It's a small amount of money extra as an option on the lower end boats, but it's well worth it. It'll save a day of fishing.